stomach. Before starting the stomach, we should know the regions of the anterior abdominal wall. Before starting the stomach, we should know the regions of the anterior abdominal wall. Anterior abdominal wall, it is divided into the 9 regions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 regions by 2 vertical planes and the 2 horizontal planes. Anterior abdominal wall, it is divided into the 9 regions by 2 vertical planes and the 2 horizontal planes. These 2 vertical planes, it is extending from the midpoint of pubic symphysis and the anterior superior iliac spine. The point is taken from the midpoint of the mid-inguinal point. Mid-inguinal point, it extends from the anterior superior iliac spine to the pubic symphysis. So take a point midway between the mid-inguinal point and it extends upwards to the midpoint of the clavicle. Midpoint of clavicle. Understood? Now the 2 horizontal planes. These 2 horizontal planes has a name. Upper horizontal plane is named as transpyloric plane. Transpyloric plane, and lower horizontal plane, it is named as transtubercular plane. Transpyloric plane, transtubercular plane. Transpyloric plane, it passes through the pyloric orifice of the stomach, opposite of lower border of L1. So upper horizontal plane, it passes through the pyloric orifice of the stomach and its vertebral level is lower border of L1. As upper horizontal plane, it passes through the pyloric orifice of the stomach. It is named as transpyloric plane. Now second horizontal plane, it passes through the tubercle of iliac crest. You know where it lies, surface anatomy of the tubercle of iliac crest. It lies 5 cm behind the anterior superior iliac spine. 5 cm behind the anterior superior iliac spine, there is a tubercle of the iliac crest. So lower horizontal plane, it passes through the tubercle of the iliac crest. And its vertebral level is upper border of L5. Upper border of L5. Now these 4 lines divide the anterior abdominal wall into the 9 regions. In the center, from above downwards, it is named as epigastrium, umbilical region, and hypogastrium. From above downwards, epigastrium, umbilical region, and hypogastrium. On either sides of the epigastrium is the left and right hypochondric region. Right and the left hypochondric region. On either sides of the umbilical, left and right lumbar region. And either sides of the hypogastrium is right and the left iliac fossa. Now, why should we have the knowledge about the regions of the anterior abdominal wall? Because in these regions, the abdominal viscera are located. Yes, left, mainly it lies on the left hypochondrium, partly in epigastrium and umbilical region. The location of the stomach, mainly in the left hypochondrium, partly in the epigastrium and the umbilical region. See, 2 horizontal planes are the transpyloric plane. It crosses the pyloric orifice of the stomach and it lies opposite of lower border of L1. Second horizontal plane is transtubercular plane, opposite of L5, upper border of L5, and it passes through the tubercle of the iliac crest and named as the transtubercular plane. So this diagram shows the viscera, locations of the different abdominal viscera. Ascending, descending colon, it lies on the lumbar region. Jejunum ileum, mostly in the umbilical region. Liver, it is on the right hypochondric, partly in the epigastrium and left hypochondric region, like this. Now today we are going to study the stomach. So in stomach, it is a muscular bag. It is a muscular and dilated part of the gastrointestinal tract. Muscular bag, dilated part of the GIT, intervenes between the esophagus and small intestine. Small intestine and esophagus. Stomach, it intervenes between the esophagus and small intestine, and the first part of the small intestine is duodenum. And in empty stomach, the shape of the stomach is J-shaped. In empty stomach, the shape of the stomach is J-shaped. But in case of the obese person, it may be oblique or Stirhorn shape. Stirhorn shape. And capacity of the stomach. In adult, what is the capacity of the stomach in adult? I think you have studied in physio.
About 1500 ml.
About 1500 ml, that is 1 to 1.5 liters. The capacity of the stomach, it is about 1 to 1.5 liters in adult, and in newborn it is about 30 to 50 ml. In newborn, it is about 30 to 50 ml, and in case of the adult, it is 1 to 1.5 liters. And the length, it is about the 25 centimeter. The length of the esophagus also, it is about 25 centimeter. And what are the functions of the stomach? What are the functions of the stomach? It stores the food. Parietal cells, it secretes the HCl and intrinsic factor. What is the functions of the intrinsic factor?
It helps in absorption of vitamin B12.
From small
Absorption of
intestine.
vitamin B12.
It helps to absorb the vitamin B12 from small intestine. Then what will happen if the parietal cells are damaged? Peptic ulcer.
Pernicious anemia.
It leads to the pernicious anemia. Then other functions of stomach, it is the gastrin hormone, which functions is to regulate the HCl and pepsin. It produces the mucus, which protects from the acidic environment of the stomach. So here, this is the stomach. Stomach, it is an intraperitoneal organ. Intraperitoneal organ. That means it is covered by the peritoneum from anteriorly as well as the posteriorly side. Posteriorly. On the both sides, it is covered by the peritoneum. So it is named as the intraperitoneal organ. Stomach, it is intraperitoneal organ. Intraperitoneal organ, and it is a J-shaped in empty stomach, and it has a two curvatures. See, two curvatures. Lesser curvature, it is J-shaped, and greater curvature extending from the cardiac notch. On the junctions of the esophagus and the greater curvature, here it is the cardiac notch. From the cardiac notch, beginning of the greater curvature, and this greater curvature, it gives attachment to the greater omentum. Lesser curvature, it gives attachment to the lesser omentum. Lesser omentum, greater omentum. What structure is attached to the lesser and the greater curvature? Lesser and the greater omentum. These omentum are the double layer of the peritoneal folds. Omentum, these are the double layer of peritoneal folds. Lesser omentum, it connects the stomach with liver, whereas the greater omentum, it connects the stomach with the transverse mesocolon. Lesser omentum, it connects the liver with stomach, and greater omentum, it connects the stomach to transverse mesocolon. And the synonymous word for the stomach are the gaster and the venter. Gaster and the venter. So from the word gaster, we derive the gastric vessels, gastric nerves, gastric carcinoma, like this. See the empty stomach. Stomach, it is a muscular bag, dilated part of the GIT, and it is J-shaped in empty stomach, which are suspended under the diaphragm. Location, it is mainly lies in the left hypochondrium and partly in the epigastrium and the umbilical region. Capacity of the stomach, 1 to 1.5 liters in adult, and in newborn it is about 30 to 50 ml. So this diagram shows the situation of the stomach or the location of the stomach, mainly in the left hypochondrium, partly in the epigastrium and the umbilical region. Now, what are the external features or the presenting parts of the stomach? External features or the presenting parts of the stomach. It consists of the two orifices. They are the cardiac orifice and the pyloric orifice. It presents the two orifices. They are the cardiac orifice and the pyloric orifice. Cardiac orifice, it is the junction of the stomach and the esophagus, and it lies opposite of vertebral level. What is the vertebral level? T11. T11 and costal cartilage. The level of the costal cartilage is 7 costal cartilage. 7 left, 7 costal cartilage. Okay, remember left 7 costal cartilage because the stomach cardiac orifice. So its vertebral level is opposite of T11 and costal cartilage is left 7 costal cartilage. Left 7 costal cartilage. And the surface anatomy of the cardiac orifice is 2.5 centimeter to the left of the median plane. 2.5 centimeter to the left of the median plane. So draw a point which is 2.5 centimeter away from the median plane on the left side. 2.5 centimeter away from the median plane on the left side. And this cardiac orifice, it is covered by the peritoneum, greater sac of the peritoneum, and anteriorly it is related with, the left lobe of liver. Left lobe of liver, okay? What is the anterior relations of the cardiac orifice of the stomach? It is left lobe of liver. Here it is the liver. Liver, it is divided into the right and the left part by the falciform ligament. So left side of the liver is related with the cardiac orifice of the stomach anteriorly, and posteriorly it is related with left cross of diaphragm. Left cross of diaphragm. And the second orifice is the pyloric orifice. Stomach presents the two orifices. They are the cardiac orifice and the pyloric orifice. Pyloric orifice, it lies at the level of the transpyloric plane. Transpyloric plane. And its vertebral level is, what is the vertebral?
L5.
Lower border of?
L5.
L3. Lower border of L3. Transtubercular plane, it lies in the L5. So its vertebral level is the lower border of L3, and it is also covered by the peritoneum, and the structure related anteriorly is the quadrate lobe of liver. Quadrate lobe of the liver. See, here it is the quadrate lobe of the liver intervenes between the gallbladder and the falciform ligament. This ligament is the falciform ligament. Falciform ligament. So in between, here it is the quadrate lobe of the liver related with the pyloric orifice of the stomach, and posteriorly it is related with neck of pancreas. It is related with neck of pancreas. Clear? Okay. Now it has a two curvatures, lesser curvature and the greater curvature. Lesser curvature and greater curvature. lesser curvature, it is J-shaped. It is J-shaped, which forms the right border of stomach. It forms the right border of the stomach. It is J-shaped, and this curvature gives attachment to the lesser omentum. Lesser curvature, it gives attachment to lesser omentum. And the most dependent part of the lesser curvature is the incisura angularis, or the angular knots, or angularis incisura, or the incisura angularis. What is the most dependent part of the lesser curvature? Angular knots, or incisura angularis is the most dependent part of the lesser curvature. See, the most dependent part of the lesser curvature, it is named as a angular knots, or the incisura angularis. This lesser curvature, it forms the right border of the stomach, gives attachment to the lesser omentum. And this lesser omentum has two parts. They are the hepatogastric part and the hepatogastric ligament. Other is the hepatoduodenal ligament. Hepatoduodenal ligament and hepatogastric ligament. Now, greater curvature. This greater curvature begins from the cardiac knots. At the junctions of the esophagus and the fundus of the stomach, here there is a knot named as the cardiac knots. From the cardiac knots begins the greater curvature. And this greater curvature, it is 4 to 5 times greater than the lesser curvature. And it forms the left border of stomach. It forms the left border of the stomach and gives attachment to the which omentum? Greater omentum. So it has the two orifices, cardiac orifice and the pyloric orifice, two curvature, lesser curvature and the greater curvature. And it is subdivided into the three parts. Stomach, it is subdivided into the three parts. They are the fundus of the stomach, body of stomach, and the pylorus of the stomach. Body, fundus, and the pyloric region. So how the stomach, it is divided into these three regions by the two imaginary lines. So how we can draw these imaginary lines? So upper imaginary line, it is drawn from the cardiac knots or the cardiac orifice towards the greater curvature. So these upper lines extending from the cardiac knots to the greater curvature divides the stomach into the above is the fundus of the stomach, below is the body of the stomach. But up to where? The body of the stomach. So now the second imaginary line is drawn from the incisura angularis, which is the most dependent part of the lesser curvature. So from there, one imaginary line drawn towards the greater curvature, opposite of the dilated part of the stomach on the greater curvature. So opposite of the incisura angularis, the greater curvature is dilated. Greater curvature is dilated. On either sides, there is a depressions. Upper and the lower depression is present. So from the incisura angularis, the line drawn towards the upper depression. So this imaginary line is a demarcation for the body of the stomach and the pyloric region. And this fundus of the stomach, it is always filled with air. Always filled with air, and the capacity of the fundus of the stomach is about the 50 ml. So sometimes in spotters, it may be asked, what is the capacity of the fundus of the stomach? It is always filled with the air, and what is its capacity? It is about the 50 ml. Clear? Now this pyloric region, it is divided into, again this further subdivided into the three regions. They are the pyloric antrum, pyloric canal, and the pyloric orifice. Pyloric orifice. So how it is divided? Presenting parts are the two orifices. They are the cardiac and the pyloric orifice. Now you know what is its relations anteriorly and posteriorly. Pyloric orifice also you know the relations anteriorly quadrant lobe of the liver, posteriorly is the neck of the pancreas. And there is a two curvatures. They are the lesser and the greater curvatures. Lesser curvatures has the most dependent part. That most dependent part, it is named as the incisura angularis, and opposite of the incisura angularis towards the this greater curvature is the dilated part, and on either side has a depressions, and in that depressions two imaginary line is drawn for the divisions of the stomach. Greater curvature, it gives attachment to the greater omentum. Lesser curvature gives attachment to the lesser omentum. At the junctions of the esophagus and the stomach, here it is the cardiac notch, and it is subdivided into the three regions: fundus, body, and the pyloric part. Pyloric part, and has two surfaces, are the anterior and the posterior surfaces. Has two surfaces, anterior-superior, or simply you can say the anterior surface and posterior surface. Anterior-superior surface and posterior-inferior surface. Okay, it has the two surfaces, anterior-superior surface and the posterior-inferior surface. And has two surfaces, are anterior-superior surface and posterior-inferior surface. Anterior-superior surface and posterior-inferior surface. What? My sound is not clear. And in empty stomach, the lining epithelium or the mucosa, it forms into the numerous folds. These folds are named as the rugae, and these are the temporary folds. Temporary folds in the stomach are called as the rugae. During the distension of the stomach, these folds will disappear. Mucosal fold in empty stomach, there is a folding of the mucosal fold, and that mucosal fold, it is named as rugae. And in distension of the stomach or the full stomach, this rugae disappear. Stomach, it is subdivided into the three regions, three parts. They are the fundus, body, and the pyloric part by an imaginary lines. Fundus, body, and the pyloric part. How it is divided? An imaginary line drawn from the cardiac notch towards the greater curvature. Another line from the incisura angularis opposite of the dilatation towards the greater curvature. Has a depressions on either sides. So two imaginary lines drawn from the incisura angularis, and opposite to the incisura angularis is the dilated part, and the dilated part has a depression. So that depression part, in that depression part, a line you have to draw. So two imaginary lines. So upper imaginary lines and the line from the cardiac notch. This is the area of the stomach, body of the stomach. Body of the stomach. In between these two imaginary lines is the pyloric antrum, then pyloric canal, and the pyloric orifice. So what are the relations of the anterior-superior surface of the stomach? Anterior relations of the stomach. Anterior relation of the stomach. On the right part, it is related with the left lobe of the liver. On the right part of the anterior surface of the stomach, it is related with the left lobe of the liver. On the left part of the stomach, it is related with the left costal margin, diaphragm, and intermediate part of the anterior surface of the stomach. It is directly come in contact with the anterior abdominal wall. Okay, intermediate part of the anterior surface of the stomach, it is directly come in contact with the anterior abdominal wall, and it is 10 centimeter deep from the anterior abdominal wall. And this, the area which is directly related with the anterior abdominal wall, it is named as the gastric triangle. Gastric triangle. So anterior surface of the stomach, which comes in directly contact with the anterior abdominal wall, it is that area is named as the gastric triangle. Gastric triangle. So what is the boundary of the gastric triangle? On the left side is the left lobe of the liver. On the right side is on the right side is left lobe of the liver. On the left side is left costal margin, and inferiorly is transverse colon. Inferiorly is transverse colon. So what is the importance of the gastric triangle? So during the complete obstructions of the esophagus, the tube is inserted via the gastric triangle, and the procedure is called the gastrostomy operation. So to feed the patients during the complete obstruction of the esophagus, this gastric triangle is inserted via the tube. Boundary of the gastric triangle, on the right side is left lobe of liver. On the left side is left costal margin. Inferior is transverse colon. What is the importance of the gastric triangle? To insert the tube for the gastrostomy operation during the complete obstruction of esophagus. Now, there is another space also present. That space is known as the Trops space. See, anterior superior surface of the stomach, it is covered by the peritoneum of the greater sac. Right part, it is related with the left lobe of the liver. Upper and the left part related to the diaphragm and the left costal margin. Intermediate triangular part, it is directly in contact with the anterior abdominal wall, and that triangular area, it is named as the gastric triangle. And the importance of the gastric triangle is the clinician used to insert the tube to feed the patients when there is a complete obstruction of the esophagus, and the procedure, it is called the gastrostomy operation. And there is a trough space also. This trough space it is present on towards the fundus of the stomach. So fundus, in the fundus of the stomach, there is a space named as the trough space. Trough space, and this space, it is always filled with the air. And on percussion, it is tympanic on percussion. Tympanic on percussion. So what is the boundary of the trough space? On the right side is lower border of liver, lower border of liver. On the left side is spleen. Above is the lower border of the left lung, lower border of the left lung and the left pleura, and below is the left costal margin. See, here it is the left costal margin. It is formed by the 7, 8, 9 and the 10 costal cartilage, you know. You are listening or not? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And this trough space, it is diminished or it is deteriorate when there is a inflammations of the liver, spleen and the lung, as it is related with these structures. On the left side related with the spleen, on the right side related with the lower border of the liver, above left lung and the pleura, lower border of the left lung and the left pleura, and below is the left costal margin. Left costal margin. Now the posterior inferior surface or the stomach bed. The posterior, it is very much important. Always it is used to ask in the theory as well as in the spotters. So what are the relations of the posterior inferior surface of the stomach or the stomach bed? What are the structure forming the stomach bed? From above downwards. From above downwards, they are the left cross of diaphragm. Left cross of diaphragm. Then left suprarenal gland. Always remember, you have to add the lefts, because you know this stomach, it lies on the left side of our body. So left cross of diaphragm, left suprarenal gland, anterior surface of the left kidney, anterior surface of the left kidney, splenic artery, tortuous splenic artery, anterior surface of pancreas. Here this is the pancreas, anterior surface of the pancreas, anterior layer of the transverse mesocolon, anterior layer of the transverse mesocolon, and sometimes spleen. Gastric impressions of the spleen, which is separated by the greater sac. See, remaining all these structures, it lies behind the lesser sac. Remember, when you leave the stomach, there is a cavity is present. That cavity is called the lesser sac or the omental bursa. And anteriorly, there is a cavity. That cavity is a greater sac. Anteriorly is the greater sac. When you leave the stomach, then there is a cavity. That cavity, it is named omental bursa or the lesser sac. And the structures forming the relations or the structures which lies behind the, which are the relations of the posterior inferior surface, it lies behind the omental bursa, except the gastric impression of the spleen, which is separated by the cavity of the greater sac. See, here it is the cord portions of the stomach body, and the fundic part as well as the pyloric part is removed. And posteriorly it is related with, see, these are the structure. They are, what are they? What is this? From above downwards. Which cross of the diaphragm? Left cross of
Left cross of the diaphragm.
left suprarenal gland, anterior surface of left kidney, anterior surface of pancreas. Here it is pancreas. Transverse mesocolon, tortuous splenic artery as well as the splenic vein, and the gastric impression of the stomach separated by the cavity of the greater sac. Now the vessels, arterial supply of the stomach. The arterial supply of the stomach it is supplied via the left gastric artery, right gastric artery. Left gastric artery and the right gastric artery, the anastomose with each other near to the or the close to the lesser curvature. Lesser curvature, and they are the content of the lesser omentum. Greater curvature, most of the greater curvature or the close to the greater curvature, there are the this left gastroepiploic and the right gastroepiploic artery. The anastomose with each other and supply the stomach. They lie close to the greater curvature. In addition, it is also supplied by the short gastric arteries, which are the branches of the splenic artery, as well as the posterior gastric artery, which supplies the posterior surface of the fundus of the stomach, and it is also a branch of the splenic artery. Left gastric artery, it is a branch of the celiac trunk. Left gastroepiploic artery, branch of the splenic artery. Right gastroepiploic artery, branch of the gastroduodenal artery, and the right gastric artery, branch of the hepatic artery. So near to the, close to the lesser curvature are the right and the left gastric artery, and the left gastric artery is the principal artery of the stomach. Which one is the principal artery of the stomach? Left gastric artery, and it is a branch from the celiac trunk. Celiac trunk. Now the venous drainage, it corresponds with the arteries. They are the right and the left gastric vein, short gastric vein, right and the left gastroepiploic vein. Arterial supply, right and the left gastric artery, short gastric vein, and the right and the left gastroepiploic vein. Veins also corresponds to the arteries. They are the right and the left gastric vein, short gastric vein, and the right and the left gastroepiploic vein. And finally, they drains into the portal vein. See, all these veins, directly or the indirectly, it drains in the portal vein. Now the lymphatic drainage. Lymphatic drainage, finally, it drains into the pre-aortic group of the celiac nodes. Pre-aortic group of the celiac nodes. So for the lymphatic drainage, you have to draw vertical lines from the cardiac nodes. Okay, you have to draw the vertical lines from the cardiac nodes. So it divides into the right and the left part. Larger is the left part, and this larger left part, it drains into the pancreatico-splenic lymph nodes. Pancreatico-splenic lymph nodes. And the right part, it is divided into the upper 2/3 and the lower 1/3. Upper 2/3, it drains in the left gastric lymph nodes. Lower 1/3, it drains in the right gastroepiploic lymph nodes. And the pyloric part of the stomach, it drains into the three areas. One is the right gastroepiploic lymph nodes, hepatic lymph nodes, or the celiac lymph nodes. And all these pancreatico-splenic lymph node, left gastroepiploic lymph nodes, right gastroepiploic lymph nodes, left gastric, right gastric, hepatic nodes, gastroduodenal, all they drain into the celiac lymph nodes. Clear? Now the nerve supply. Nerve supply, they are supplied by the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic via the T6 to the T9 segments of the spinal cord. Esophagus T5 to T9. Sympathetic stomach, it is supplied by the T6 to T9 segments of the spinal cord, forming the celiac plexus. And the sympathetic fibers, they are vasomotor and stimulate the pyloric sphincter and inhibit the rest of the gastric musculature. Vasomotor, sympathetic are vasomotor, stimulate the pyloric sphincter, whereas it inhibits the rest of the gastric musculature. Parasympathetic, by the vagus anterior or the left vagal trunk, posterior or the right vagal trunk, and its action is opposite. That stimulates the gastric musculature and inhibit the pyloric sphincter, and they are secretomotor to gastric glands. So what are the structures of the stomach or the histology of the stomach? We already know that the GIT, it consists of the 4 layers. They are the from outside inward: serous, muscular, soft mucus, and the mucous layer or the mucosa. Serous, muscular, soft mucus, and the mucous layer. This mucous layer, further it is subdivided into the 3. See, this is the diagram of this diagram showing the histology of the stomach. Here it is the esophageal part, histology of the esophagus, and here it is the histology of the stomach. From outside inward, it consists of the 4 layers: serosa, which is lined by the mesothelium, also made up resting on the loose connective tissue, which consists of the nerve, blood vessels, etc. Then the second muscular layer. Muscular layer, usually we used to say that it consists of the 2 layers, but in case of the stomach, it consists of the 3 layers of the muscles. They are the oblique, innermost, then the intermediate is the circular, and outer is the longitudinal. Okay. So in the stomach only, it consists of the 3 layers of the unstriated muscles. They are oblique, circular, and longitudinal. Clear? Now the soft mucosa, it is made up of the loose areolar connective tissue where there is a nerve plexus is present, named as the soft mucus or the Meissner plexus. Other are blood vessels, lymphatics, etc. Now the mucosa, mucous layer or the mucosa, it is further subdivided into the 3 parts. One is the lining epithelium. The lining epithelium of the GIT always a simple columnar, except the esophagus and the terminal part of the anal canal. All areas it is lined by the simple columnar epithelium. Now deep to the this lining epithelium is the lamina propria, where there is a presence of the gastric glands. See, these all are the gastric glands, and these gastric glands are opened into the gastric pits. So in the section of the stomach, histology of the stomach, you will find the numerous depressions. That depression, it is named as gastric pits. Okay, where there is the opening of the ducts of the gastric gland. Gastric gland. And histologically, it is divided into the cardiac region, fundus, and the body and the pyloric region. The glands which is present on the cardiac region, it is called as the cardiac glands. In the fundic and the body parts, they are named as the fundus, body glands, or the fundic glands, or the gastric glands. And in the pyloric region, they are the glands, it's named as pyloric glands. Now there is a muscularis mucosae. It also consists of the 3 layers of the muscles. Okay, inner is the oblique, circular, and the longitudinal muscles. So this gastric glands, this cardiac glands, it is lined by the cells, and the functions of the cells is to secrete the produce the mucus, insoluble mucus. And what is the functions of this columnar epithelium? Its functions is to secrete the mucus which has a protective layers. Then the gastric glands, it is lined by the 3 types of the cells. What are those cells? Towards the neck is the mucous neck cell, which secretes the mucus. Then the parietal cells. This diagram illustrates the sections of the cardiac region. In the cardiac region, cardiac glands are present. In the body and the fundic part, they are named as the gastric glands. And these gastric glands, they are lined by the 3 types of the cells mainly. One is the mucous neck cells near to the pit. Near to the base, it is lined by the chief cells or the zymogen cells. What is the functions of these chief cells? It secretes pepsinogen. And in presence of the HCl, this pepsinogen is converted into the active enzyme pepsin. And in between the mucous neck cells and the chief cells or the zymogen cells is the parietal or the oxyntic cell. These parietal or the oxyntic cells, Their function is to secrete the HCl as well as the intrinsic factor. Cardiac glands, it secretes the mucus. Here it secretes the gastric glands, it secretes the, or the fundy glands. You can say the fundy glands, it can secrete the parietal cells, it secretes the HCl and the intrinsic factor. Zymogen or the chief cells, it secretes the pepsinogen, and in presence of the HCl, this pepsinogen is converted into the active enzyme pepsin. Mucous neck cell, again it secretes the mucus. And the pyloric region, it consists of the pyloric glands, and the functions of the pyloric glands is to secrete an hormone gastrin. And the function of the gastrin is to regulate the HCl. And see, there are three layers of the muscles in the stomach. They are, the outer is the longitudinal muscle layer, a middle is the circular, and the inner is the oblique layer. Longitudinal layer, its action is to propel the food. Middle circular layer, its action is to hold the food in the stomach until the digestion is complete. And inner oblique muscles, its function is to mix the bolus of the food with gastric juice and convert into the chyme. So what are the functions of the stomach? Individual functions of the muscles, you know. Longitudinal
Propulsion of the food.
propulsion, its functions is to hold the food in the stomach, and the oblique muscles, it mixes with the gastric juice. The bolus of the food will be mixed with the juices, gastric juices, and converted into the chyme. And there is a gastric canal towards the left curvatures, and its function is to transmit the fluid without coming in contact with the mucosa. Fluid directly pass into the duodenum. There is not importance of the mixing of the fluid to the gastric juices. It directly convey into the duodenum via the gastric canal, and this gastric canal also named as the Magentresse, which is formed by the right free margin of the oblique muscle. So this diagram illustrates the histology of the stomach. These are the fundic or the fundic glands, lined by the three types of the cells, you know. And clinical anatomy are the gastric carcinoma, gastroscopy, then the pyloric stenosis. Thank you.